Hello everyone, welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
And I'm Reese.
And we're in the middle of our debate about school uniforms. The good, the bad, le bon, le mieux, the pros, the cons.
Oh, you speak French?
Some.
Well, yesterday in day one, we learned all about the good things, the pros, the advantages, the benefits to wearing a uniform at school. And some of those advantages or pros included equality.
Equality, keeping it simple when you get dressed in the morning.
Yeah, it made the students behave better in school.
True, adults would respect them more out of school too, because they're in their uniforms.
Students felt less stressed about having to impress their friends with nice clothes.
It's not a fashion show when you wear a uniform. And also that allowed the students to concentrate on their work even more because they didn't have to worry about wearing the right clothes or nice clothes or new clothes or cool clothes because everyone had the same clothes.
So it sounds like wearing uniforms at school is a really, really good thing. There can't be any bad things about it, can there?
Well, I'm convinced. I think it's the best idea ever.
Maybe we should look at the article from day 2 and see if there are any negative points about wearing uniforms.
Reading. School uniforms, the pros and cons. The cons of school uniforms.
Elaine, I don't think school uniforms have improved my school life. My family lives in poverty, and it's hard to pay for my uniforms. This fact reduces my chance for an equal education. Also, my classmates still make fun of me because other things of mine are in bad condition. The uniform doesn't hide that.
Mr. Guo. My family cares about free expression. My children aren't bad kids, but they've been punished for breaking uniform rules at school. Sometimes they want to support a good cause, but can't wear anything to show it. The school shouldn't tell us how to let our kids dress.
Lance. School uniforms unfairly divide girls and boys. Sure, some schools let girls wear pants and boys wear skirts, but the majority of the time this isn't the case. By high school, students are old enough to make suitable clothing choices and be treated like young adults. School uniforms take away this opportunity to get to know who we are.
So day 2 of the article begins with the cons of school uniforms. Cons meaning bad things, disadvantages, things that we don't like.
Okay.
We start with Elaine. Elaine is another student at the school, and as you can guess, probably, she doesn't like uniforms. Elaine explains, I don't think school uniforms have improved my school life. My family lives in poverty, and it's hard to pay for my uniforms.
Ooh, that's a good point.
That's a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Although I can think of a solution to this. Maybe we can discuss that a bit later on.
Okay.
But before that, let's talk about the word poverty. Elaine said that her family lives in poverty, which is a very unfortunate situation. Poverty is a lack of money, a state of being poor. Not having enough money to support yourself, not having enough money to eat well or live properly, or, as Elaine explained, not enough money to even buy her school uniform. Many people around the world live in poverty, and it's very, very sad. And the people who have more money should do more to help the people in poverty. Here's an example sentence. India is a huge country that still has a high level of poverty.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, someone who is living in poverty, we would use the adjective poor. In the same way that someone who has a lot of money, we would use the adjective rich. But for them, the noun would be wealth, right? If you have a childhood of poverty, that means when you were a kid, your family had very little money. If you had a childhood of wealth, that means you lived in a big house and you had servants and, luxury holidays and all that stuff. So poverty is at one end, wealth is at the other. And you're right, there are too many people living in poverty and too few people with too much wealth living at the other end. It's got to be more equal. In the future, hopefully that will happen. Back to the article, it says this fact, the fact that she grew up in a family, they had a lot of poverty in her family, she couldn't afford to pay for a uniform. This fact reduces my chance for an equal education. I guess there might have even been some good schools in her city that she couldn't go to because they couldn't afford to buy a uniform for her. So that was not giving her equality. That was making her less equal in education. She couldn't go to that school just because her family wasn't rich enough. And in the same way that we mentioned wearing your own clothes to school might leave you open to teasing from some mean other students, Elaine says also my classmates still make fun of me because other things of mine are in bad condition. Her poverty shows in other ways. The uniform doesn't hide that. She could wear a uniform, but she still has, the not so cool and cheaper shoes, and her bag is kind of old. Maybe it's the bag her brother used before her for a few years, all of that. So it doesn't really hide the fact that her family isn't rich. It just sort of hides one part of it, but it comes out in other ways. So it isn't a magic cure to avoid teasing from student to student. All right, so here we also had this word to reduce, right? To reduce basically means to go down, especially when we're going down in number. We don't mean going down like from the fifth floor down to the first floor, but we mean going down as a number. So the temperature in the country will be reduced or will reduce as we go from summer to winter, right? The temperature goes down. As people leave a place, the number of people inside that place, that number will reduce. It will go down. For example, this medicine should help to reduce your high temperature. So if you take the medicine and follow the doctor's orders, your temperature, which was maybe 37, 38 degrees in a few hours or by tomorrow, should be reduced, go down to a more healthy 36 or something like that. All right, and we also had this term to make fun of. Yeah, it's not nice to make fun of people, especially when you're the student like Elaine who is being made fun of by your other mean classmates.
Yeah, it means to laugh at people, maybe, tease them about things that they can't really help.
Do that. That's not, no, leave me alone.
You loser.
Oh, man.
Don't make fun of people.
No, don't do it.
We also saw the word condition, which is the state of something. How something is, how it exists, usually in terms of its quality. If something is in good condition, that thing works well and is not broken. Maybe it looks brand new. If something is in bad condition, it might be broken and busted. Maybe we can't use it anymore. We can use condition to describe almost anything. And we often use it to talk about physical objects like cars or clothes, even houses and animals. If you have a t-shirt that's in good condition, maybe you just bought it from the store. If your t-shirt is in bad condition, it's got holes in it, it's covered in gravy stains, and it smells bad.
It's time to get a new one.
Time to get a new t-shirt. Here's an example sentence with condition. Wow, I found a beautiful old car for sale, and it's in great condition.
Oh. If it's an old car, I wouldn't expect it to be in a great condition.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of a broken condition or damaged or something, but you've been lucky.
They must have been looking after the car pretty well.
That's right.
Well, back to the article, and now we're hearing from Mr. Guo. Oh. Mr. Guo says, my family cares about free expression. Now, I'm guessing that Mr. Guo is probably a parent of a student.
I would think so, yeah.
He continues, my children aren't bad kids, but they've been punished for breaking uniform rules at school. Sometimes they want to support a good cause, but can't wear anything to show it. The school shouldn't tell us how to let our kids dress.
Interesting point of view.
Mr. Guo sounds like a cool dad?
Yeah, kind of a cool dad. He wants his kids to express themselves, to be free to sort of tell the world who they are and how they feel about stuff. And if that involves wearing things, well, then they're going to get in trouble with the school uniform rules. I see.
A liberal father. He really wants his kids to be able to be themselves. And he's worried that if they have to wear these boring uniforms, they're going to maybe lose their personalities.
Right.
Well, we also saw that sentence structure that we visited yesterday, which is using a question word in a sentence that's not necessarily a question. Here, the example used the word how. These are noun clauses introduced by question words. So remember, the structure is subject plus verb plus question word. For example, this is how you play the game, or I'll tell you when to leave.
Okay. So you're not asking me a question when to leave. You're telling me that you will give me the time to leave. All right, I will pay attention to that. Back to our article, another con and another point of view on this topic of school uniforms. Again here, someone who doesn't like the idea. This is from Lance. We'll find out who Lance is. And Lance goes on to say, school uniforms unfairly divide girls and boys. Okay, sure, some schools let girls wear pants and boys wear skirts, but he might think that that's not really enough, and he thinks this is unfair. Something that is not equal, that treats people differently just because of who they are. We would say that is not fair, or it is unfair. And so if you do something in that not fair, not equal kind of way, you are doing it unfairly, all right? So for example, if the teacher only picked the tall students to go visit the basketball courts or something like that, the students would say, hey, you picked those students unfairly. You only picked the tall ones. Maybe some of the shorter students love basketball more than they do. Why are they the only ones who get to go on this fun experience? So that's a good question. So he thinks it's treating students unfairly, the boys and the girls. True. If the school uniform is skirts for girls and pants for boys, and you're the kind of girl who doesn't like to wear skirts because your legs get cold in the winter, then a school might say, I'm sorry, you just have to wear that. And that is kind of unfair.
It is unfair.
Yeah.
So Lance was saying that there might be some schools that allow boys to wear skirts and girls to wear pants.
Okay.
But he goes on to explain, but the majority of the time, this isn't the case. And the case here is that boys wear pants and girls wear skirts.
Right. Like there are some schools that might let the students dye their hair color, but most of the schools out there, they don't let the students do that.
Yeah, the majority don't. Let's talk about that word. The word majority is used as a noun, and it quite simply means more than half of something. More than 50%. In other words, it basically means most of something, the majority. If we're talking about time, we can say the majority of the time. The opposite of majority is minority, which means less than 50%. It's not so common. So in the article, Lance was saying that the majority or most of the schools don't allow boys to wear girls' clothes and girls to wear boys' clothes. Here's an example sentence with majority. The majority of people in Taiwan have gotten the COVID vaccine. Me too.
And we also had that to be the case. If something is the case, that's the way it is. That's the reality. That is what is happening now. It might change. It might not be the way we like it. We might want it to be different, but if it is the case, that is the situation now. That's the way it is, in other words. All right, back to the article. So this person continues and says, by high school, students are old enough to make suitable clothing choices and be treated like young adults. Wow, I can imagine myself saying that when I was that age as a student. You kind of think, hey, I'm 17, I'm 18, I'm almost at the end of high school. I can choose my own clothes. I'm not going to come to school wearing my bathing suit in the summer or something crazy like that. Just let me pick a few different things to wear because I'm tired of my uniform. Because that person thinks, older kids are mature. They are able to make wise choices and pick suitable clothes to wear to school. I think most kids would be once they get a little older. All right, so yeah, if something is suitable, it's kind of like that word we looked at yesterday when things are appropriate. It fits the situation. Whatever you're doing, the way you're acting, what you're wearing, what you're eating, that fits the situation, all right? So for example, it's not suitable to talk to your boss in a very friendly way by sort of teasing them. That wouldn't be suitable. It wouldn't be suitable to maybe take your grandmother for a boxing lesson or something like, no, she's an old lady. What are you doing? And also, it wouldn't be suitable for you to take a huge turkey to eat in a movie theater. No, that's why we eat popcorn in a movie theater. You eat turkey at home in a dining room. You don't eat that in a movie theater. It's not appropriate. It's not suitable. Here's an example sentence. I don't think wearing a bathing suit would be suitable for going to a wedding. No, it's definitely not suitable for going to a wedding. And also, wearing your wedding dress to go surfing, that would also not be suitable. It wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't fit the situation.
So returning to the article, it says, school uniforms take away this opportunity to get to know who we are. Ooh, it's getting deep now.
It really is. I guess they're looking at clothes as a way of expressing yourself, the way an artist uses paint or music or dance to express themselves.
Yeah, and school, for a lot of teenagers, is the place where they really first learn to express themselves. And so maybe wearing their own choice of clothing is one way of doing that. Well, the article used the word opportunity here, which is a noun, and it's a limited or rare chance to do something. A chance to do something, an opportunity, is the time or circumstance where you can do a thing. Perhaps something you cannot do all of the time, so it's an opportunity. For example, an opportunity to visit London with the school next year means you have a chance, maybe a chance that you might not have again, to go to London. We also use the word opportunity to describe the chance of getting a new job, a job opportunity. Maybe wearing school uniforms for some students is an opportunity to learn about yourself or express yourself. Here's an example sentence. You should grab this opportunity before it slips by. The article also used the phrase get to know. It said that you could get to know yourself. Well, I know myself pretty well. I've lived with me for almost 30 years.
What's your name?
Reese? Yes, Reese.
You know yourself pretty well.
Pretty well.
Pretty well.
Well, what does the phrase actually mean to get to know something? It means to start or to become familiar with someone or something. To get to know a person, place, or thing means to learn more about that thing. And so by saying that wearing your own clothes is a chance for you to learn or get to know about yourself, it means you're exploring your personality and the things that you like and don't like and ways of expressing yourself, which is something that teenagers love to do. For now, let's go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So here's our chat question, thinking back not just from today, but from day one, yesterday as well. Which person from this article do you agree with most? And explain your reasons.
I think I'm going to agree with everybody from day one.
Okay.
I don't want to sound like an old fart or a boring teacher
old
guy.
You young kids in your crazy clothes.
I think the arguments from day one are stronger.
Yes.
You know, it stops bullying, it maybe makes kids behave a little better, it makes everybody more equal.
True, true.
I do sympathize with Elaine's issue about not affording clothes.
Right.
But I think a solution could be that the school maybe provides extra financial support to families that are less fortunate.
Absolutely. Or comes up with options about what you can buy to be in the uniform, but maybe not spend so much money. And you're right. I think for most of the kids, the arguments from day one would make sense, but we should always be aware that not everyone fits in the same box, and it is always good to be aware and to think about and be considerate of people like the ones we met in day 2, who maybe just for them, school uniforms don't really work, because if it's just for them, there's probably lots of other people who would agree as well. Thanks for listening to us, guys. Enjoy wearing your school uniforms or not, depending on what school you go to. And don't worry, soon you will be able to all pick your own clothes, and eventually you become really famous, really rich, really successful, and you'll wear the same clothes every day like Steve Jobs did. So you'll have your own uniform. That's something to look forward to.
Enjoy the future.
Vocabulary Review.
Poverty. This area is experiencing terrible poverty. Many families can't even afford food. Reduce. After Jason reduced the amount of sugar in his diet, he started losing weight right away. Condition. This dress is over 200 years old, but it's still in good condition because it has been stored carefully. Majority. The majority of people in this area have technology jobs, but some work in other fields too. Suitable. This coat seems like a suitable choice for today's cold weather. Opportunity. When Alice saw that her school was opening a new art class, she took the opportunity to join it.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net